Hello and welcome. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting. So today we're talking about Pluto, and we're talking about Pluto's transformational effect that it's had on Capricorn since 2009 when it entered Capricorn. And we're getting to the last phases of its journey before it enters Aquarius in November this year, 2024. What I thought I'd look at is the process of transformation that we have been taking, and we've been revisiting the critical degrees of 29 degrees and finally going through the latter stages of 0 degrees in Aquarius. So without further ado, let's get started. So Pluto, let's have a look at Pluto. Pluto is not pleasant. And Pluto's transits through signs and houses take a longer time than any other. It's the furthest planet from the sun. And the job of Pluto is transformation. And it's a dismantling effect. And the idea of that is that it's supposed to bring to the surface the unseen and the unconscious. And through the dismantling, and you face the truth. And new truths, old truths, forgotten truths come to the surface to be reckoned with. You are transformed by the end of the transit. We are transformed by the end of the transit. Whatever Pluto touches, it will destroy in order to evolve you into a higher state of consciousness and awareness. People often reflect on these periods and say, oh, it was the worst time in my life, but the best thing that could have happened, because I wouldn't be here now doing the things, seeing the things in my life in this way. When it's a personal transit to one of your planets, it can take years, and it can take a couple of years to get past that difficult period. On a macro level, it's a much longer period of time. I wouldn't have gotten there on my own, they would say. Something had to happen for me to see it and to change it. Some may say, I had no idea I was carrying all this. Some might say, I knew, but I had no idea I would have to face it all, or have an opportunity to see a way out. I had buried my truth in this area of my life for so long, within the case of the last, say, 15 years since 2009. Pluto has been transiting in Capricorn for everyone. So structures, both macro and micro in other worlds, both personally in our lives and externally reflected in our society. And it brings me back to my student days and lecturing days in sociology, when we used to talk about Karl Marx and his prediction of a revolution of the people. And I always remember that it really resonated with me, but at the time it really was deeply unconscious for me. I wasn't sure how it was resonating, but it really, really did. This leads me to my next point, really, about Pluto and its work within Capricorn, and indeed any sign or house, area of your life in your individual natal charts, or the houses. Pluto points to the abusers of power in these areas of our lives, and Pluto strips everything down to nothing to get to the deepest truth. And it can get ugly, because often we resist the darkest shadows that we have experienced, and often the darkest experiences can only be partially processed, buried for a later date, maybe even put into the box of never date. However, as the universe decides the timing in our lives and knows when we are ready for such unveilings, Pluto will sync up with other areas, points and planets in our natal charts to uncover what we need to process, see and transform to take us further into the path we've chosen in this lifetime. We have all chosen to evolve in different ways before we came here, according to astrology. However, I believe, amongst most, I hope, that we have all come to evolve deeper into the consciousness of oneness, love. I could spend hours talking about Pluto and only Pluto. I may do another video or podcast on this. Pluto highlights in our natal charts what our greatest power is. The ways that we have been disempowered in our childhood and ways that we had to overcome, and it became a superpower for us. We could become obsessive in those areas. Power plays, manipulation. Both the higher frequencies and the lower frequencies exist in every sign. House, planet, and aspect, which means the way that the planets are conversing with one another. We have the free will to set the intentions, to lean into the highest expressions of these energies. Pluto brings a high level laser focus and aptitude to areas of ourselves and lives. Manipulation, both being manipulated or be the manipulator, I'm sure we've been there, within those areas of our lives, in those particular ways. In your natal chart, in our natal charts, we have to take into account all the other aspects and placements, etc., to see the complete picture of how this plays out for us. In fact, only you know. You can, in fact, only be the person to say how things played out for you. You can have two people with the same birth chart. However, their level of expression and growth of those areas may be really different, very different indeed. So, I repeat, we can choose to express the higher expressions the best we can in each moment to get the most out of our experience here on Earth in this lifetime. Pluto moves very, very slowly, and as a result, the energy takes its time to unfold. It takes varied times to transit a sign due to its elliptical orbit, taking on an oval-shaped path, like all the planets do. This is due to the gravitational interactions with the Sun and other planets. Pluto takes 248 years to orbit the Sun. So that's about 11.5 to 30 to 5 years in each sign. It varies, and it retrogrades half the year. So in your personal natal chart, it also takes time to do its work. Years, as I said earlier, in fact. Pluto is furthest from the Sun, so this makes sense. And entire generations will have the same sign of Pluto in their natal chart with a particular mission that they came here to be involved with, or play it out in that particular way, make changes and evolutions within society. Again, I might do a separate video on this. So the themes of Pluto, being the ruling planet of Scorpio, are transformation, power, truth, focus, betrayals, empowerment, disempowerment, deep intensity, revenge, jealousy, death and rebirth, independence. The death and the rebirth are part of the transformational process, and the empowerment is also part of the transformational process. Pluto will kind of feel like a churning feeling, like it's turning everything round, because it's got to just get everything that it can. And well, I'll be going into this. When it comes to the critical degrees, that's when we're going to feel it so much more. And when the retrogrades stop and start, you can expect to feel this churning depending on how it shows up for you, but it might be stronger on certain times because it depends on what's happening in your chart in addition to that. This brings me to the much talked about 29 degrees. I figured I may as well bring that to the table as well from my point of view, from my slant. So 29 degrees, it's a critical degree, and the 29th degree is the degree of mastery. I do have another video about the 29th degree, if you'd like to check that out, talking about Pisces. The 29th degree is the degree of mastery and the degree of pressure, because it's the last degree before it goes into 0 degrees of another sign, where the energy changes completely. So the 29th degree is the last push, the last contraction to the rebirth in this case, because it's Pluto. The final unearthing, the ultimate masterclass of seeing and undoing in order to transform and take the wisdom forwards, especially in the earth sign of Capricorn. No one will escape this. We all have 29 degrees of Capricorn in our chart somewhere. Wherever you have 29 degrees of Capricorn, you have been becoming aware of the structures in your world, and perhaps family structures. For example, structures which feel oppressive, disempowering, dishonest, not fulfilling, or supportive to your next phase of growth going forwards. And we have been realising or learning to accept what we must allow to break down in order to emancipate ourselves from it. It indeed can feel like releasing yourself from being a slave to a system, outdated, worn out, on repeat, through a sense of duty, tradition, loyalty. This is the way it's always been. Personally, for me, I actually stopped listening to the traditional callbacks of Christmas music. Not to say that the music isn't great, because I love, love, love music. However, look, I'm going to get personal. For me, it was a trigger, and it reminded me of times within my structure where it was disempowering. So, only happy Christmas, non-triggering Christmas music is played in our house each year. So where was I? Yeah, so the low roads or lower frequencies of Capricorn have been clearing out and called out. It will take some time for the structures created in our society to fall, but fall they will. Capricorn is ruled by the planet Saturn. And, well, let's break this down. So Capricorn is the sign that governs hierarchy in society. It's structures. Capricorn rules structures, traditions, the upkeeping of structures, high standards. The lower frequencies can abuse their position of excellence that they have been given or previously, supposedly, maybe earned. Capricorn is also the ruler of authority figures, the boss and the CEO. Saturn, its ruler, will ensure quality control. Capricorn initiates long-term goals and has a cold reality and a sense of deep responsibility. Capricorns are extremely hard-working and do not let emotions stand in their way of success. This can be reflected to us, both in our personal lives and on a mass scale. Governments, banking, big businesses. If the lower frequencies take over the heart of the project, structures, we lose the reason for the work in the first place and get lost. We can be left with a cold and empty shell without the beating heart to give it new life. We can be stuck in tradition for tradition's sake, losing sight of the time, to true meaning and its worth might get lost. Corruption and abuse of power has been hidden in the structures of society and in our own deep unconscious. Pluto started unravelling those parts, and tension was created to start the dismantling process. I focus here mostly on our internal world, but we can see evidence of so within and so without reflecting back to us. We're starting to become more aware, Aquarius, that we are one and not separate. As Pluto transits into Aquarius, we will see how we are in need of each other more and more. And yet we will also need to be mindful that all connections is not just on social media, which is also very Aquarian. So Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2009. It's been transforming the Capricorn areas of our lives and all that it rules. All Earth-related topics have been uprooted and turned over, and Pluto in Capricorn has been supporting these areas in our charts as well. Pluto tells the truth. Uranus has played a huge part of this. I'll discuss Uranus in a separate video, but just to say that Uranus spends 7 years in a sign, and I believe Uranus entered Taurus in 2017, 2018, and will enter Gemini in 2025. Jupiter has also played a huge role too. In fact, all the outer planets have been unfolding a larger picture of the long-term change in evolution. Again, look out for a separate video on Jupiter as well. Jupiter will be changing signs from Taurus into Gemini this year in May. So a huge year, a huge time for all of us, a turning point and a tipping point. Which brings me back to the 29 degrees of Capricorn. Before I go on, I also please look out for my deep dive of Neptune as well. That energy will be discussed coming soon. Okay, so for 29 degrees of Capricorn, the pressure point of change, or rather more transparency, accountability, is an important factor here. We must be accountable for our part in those structures that we've either been part of or played a role in. Keeping ourselves stuck in the comfortably uncomfortable. We have been uncovering the role that we've played and the role of others have played. Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, has been helping us to see the realities that we must face in order to let go of what's not serving us. Ideologies have been made apparent. The cycle within cycles emerging inside us and without connecting us to the web of larger cycles of evolution. Saturn in Pisces has shone a light on how we feel about the structures. We've taken off the rose-tinted spectacles for a bit of a time, since March the 7th last year, 2023. The lower frequencies have been discussed here because these are the areas that need transformation. So I do apologise, Capricorn. You have got amazing qualities, which we will go into. Pluto knows how to find the truth, and like a laser beam, he's detecting things that need to be seen, like a detective in the night. So that's why we're focusing on the darker side and the shadows. He is our flashlight in the most hidden, unexpected ways and places. So the lower frequencies of Capricorn is that they can be ruthless. The Capricorn energy can be quite ruthless, has a ruthless quality that can be unforgiving and expect conformity. So, and it's quite conservative in its expression. So Capricorns, please forgive me for what may seem like a barrage of insults. I do love you, Capricorns, and you're very much needed. And the high roads and the frequencies of Capricorn, as I said, are being discussed here because of the evolution that's taking place. And you have integrity, that's what I wanted to say, and you can be great leaders, loyal, responsible, and hardworking. You work harder than anyone else, and you are a strength when others can't be. You just keep on supporting when times are hard. So I thank you. So, please, this is not a disregard for all the good that Capricorn energy brings. We have also been learning what we value and learnt how to discern from what is worth our investment, which is what Capricorns are good at. Capricorns bring the most accomplished along its journey, and we will take only the best with us on our path to the future orientated Aquarius, one hopes. We have big ambitions for our futures now. New goals to focus on, bringing with us the expertise, the energy of Capricorn, into the evolving Aquarius age. So to sum up, Pluto in Capricorn has been transforming our structures and ambitions. Our hierarchy, uncovering truths. 2023 has been an intense time of pressure. For example, Pluto was part of a Grand Cross, where Pluto was squaring the nodes for months in 2023. It was intense. Chiron in Aries has been clashing energies with the earth signs and the air signs. Our visions of how we identify ourselves and the pain of that. The alienation of the self. Those of you with Chiron in Aries will have had your Chiron return or be having one. You will have had to return back to your deepest wounds, to a greater awareness and find your alternative to life and loss with the self-identification and ego expressions. So, reeling in, Pluto's been making connections with all our planets in one way or another. And those of you who have planets and points in air signs will be benefiting from trines with Pluto in the next 20 years. Also, the fire signs have been fueled by Pluto in Aquarius. So what are we taking with us into Aquarius? What do we need to remember? Aquarius can be detached in its approach. What do we want to remember and hold on to remain in our integrity? What do we want to honour about our time in Capricorn? Integrity, staying the course, being realistic about our visions for the future, responsibility for the choices that we make, being grounded as much as we can as we quicken our energy into future orientation. Karma will be burnt through and become aware of. So what might Pluto in Aquarius look like? Let's look at the Aquarius traits. Aquarius energy is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus brings change, and it brings it fast. It can be rather surprising and shocking, and the focus of Aquarius is of humanitarian pursuits. The collective energy, collective consciousness, very, very different to Capricorn. Surprisingly, Capricorn is feminine energy, and Aquarius is masculine. However, I find personally that Capricorn is more masculine than the other earth signs. I'll say like Taurus and Virgo. Aquarius does not do tradition. Quite the opposite, although Capricorn's is not its true opposition. Aquarius is a visionary of the future, innovation, change, reinventing, the higher mind. It has galactic energies. A progressive approach cannot be easy to predict. And cannot be easy to predict. Aquarius can feel shocking and exciting. Aquarius is eccentric and has a mad professor vibe, also very independent and detached. Although Aquarius may care about the collective, they also don't really feel the need to be the same as others. In fact, they enjoy being unique. It can be somewhat lonely, however, in that wanting to belong to a tribe or society, but maybe really feeling too different to fit in anywhere. The remedy here can be embracing the odd and flying your freak flag with pride, taking notes from its opposition sign of Leo. The pride. Individuation. Keeping it heart-centred and accepting the individuation as part of bringing into humanity what only your unique talents and oddities can bring to and aid humanity in its evolution. Things that have probably been rejected before, but won't be, not now. Aquarius has the vision to make a change. Originality is celebrated now. We have had a 3-month taste of 0 degrees Aquarius. Pluto travelled and tested the air element. Pluto went into Aquarius in 0 degrees briefly in March 2023. First time since 1777, 246 years ago. So, we are completing a very long cycle indeed in Capricorn. Structuring where structures were being challenged then as well. Revolutions, sovereignty was being reclaimed. Here we are once again, breaking down the old to make way for the new. Karmic cycles, completing timelines being broken up and cleared. Big cycles from past lives. Pluto squared the nodes earlier this year. I say this year, I mean that by 2023. That was all part of this. And it went on for quite a long time in the scheme of things. The South Node in Scorpio last year, 2023, which is ruled by Pluto. The South Node in Scorpio squared Pluto since May 2023 and was part of that Grand Cross, which included obviously both nodes, South and North Node in Taurus, Venus. It became its strongest in August 2023. A major tension and turning point. Now, I tell you, I really felt that. I don't know about you. I can't imagine there's anyone that wouldn't have felt it. You might have found your no at this point. Final clearings out of areas in your chart involving Scorpio, Pluto, Capricorn, Taurus, Leo and others. Pluto entered Aquarius during a retrograde for a month of that. Pluto stayed in Aquarius 0 degrees until it retrograded back into Capricorn again in June 2023. I'm going to give you some dates from from my computer at the end of this for you to note down. So don't worry about remembering them all at the moment. So you may have felt the quickening of the element change as well. Air is a very fast and changeable element. In Aquarius, it moved from a cardinal earth into a fixed air. So from a grounded, solid, dutiful, structured, material focus, an initiator, as I said, the CEO, to Aquarius, the communicator, the mental activity, more sociable, a lighter, more exciting energy, and adaptable, but fixed still. There's a stubborn streak once committed to a new approach, and they won't stop. The Aquarius energy doesn't stop until it's heard. So there is the activist energy there. Problem solving, puzzles, scientific methods need the consistency to solve patterns, to ensure results. So that could be part of the fixed energy, to innovate. Saturn is also the one of the ruling planets of Aquarius. So Capricorn has this in common. Saturn can help ground the ideas and ideas of Aquarius. Practical Saturn can provide boundaries, providing focus on the science service to humanity. Saturn is also the observer. So Saturn's energy is used slightly differently for each of the sign of Capricorn and Aquarius, but I thought it was interesting that Saturn rules both those signs. Saturn goes outside the box to find the answers for an Aquarius, whereas it stays in the box to find the answers for Capricorn, if that makes sense, and bring back known limits and rules, like to be redefined rather, to redefine the rules and redefine the structures, to up-level society's conditions. So it's traditions breaking down and new ways of living, being, thinking. So you look back to when it first started in 2009 and think about your own experiences and where you've had these things breaking down or things you've observed. Let's not forget the feeling though. It is easy to detach our emotions in air signs, especially Aquarius. Aquarius is fast and directly influences our nervous system. We will need to use all our tools to remain present and not drift too far ahead and calm down our adrenals. So anything you've got that you've been using, continue to use. I like going for walks in nature and I like to concentrate on my breath. I prefer guided meditations. Any form of movement is great, just to get that energy going through you. But everything you do it with intention. And journaling is fantastic for air signs. So you could write down your ideas and give yourself plenty of downtime to process those thoughts. So hopefully we as a whole will feel more in tune with what's best for the whole. But how do we accept each other's differences and at the same time create order out of the chaos of the differences? That's going to be interesting. How do we please everyone? Do we have to accept that some we win, some we lose? So the unique talents and gifts that may have been accepted in the more not have been accepted in the more traditional structures is now becoming acceptable. Fingers crossed, eh? I know I've been coming out a lot more with my freak flag, and I'm really enjoying it. Be brave and fly your freak flag. It's time to push the envelope, guys, further than we've ever pushed it before. It's very exciting. So Pluto 29 degrees is a letting go point of energy. And it's a tipping point, completion of karmic cycles. Saturn is the ruler of karma. By the end of November 2024, so this year, Pluto will return to 0 degrees Aquarius and not return to 29 in Capricorn until 2269. So that's about 246 years. So certainly not in our lifetime. So the initiations that a 0 degrees brings of Aquarius energy will be unfolding once more over this next few years, especially. Truths will be and continue to be seen. Exposure of hidden truths kept from society, hidden within the structures of Capricorn's energies, the structures that Pluto has been travelling through and revealed. Pluto's been sitting on truths and has been waiting for the right time. Pluto is patient. Pluto will wait for the exact moment of truth. You could journal your exact moments of truth through the transits. So the 20th of December 2023 was the last time that Pluto went into 29 degrees of Capricorn. And will be changing to 0 degrees Aquarius again for another pass on the 21st of January 2024 this month. So wherever you have Aquarius in your natal chart, it will be highlighted. An area of that will be highlighted. It's like 0 degrees, especially during this time, up to sort of 2 degrees-ish during this year. Highlight an area that will carry a theme to unfold and dismantle. So, for example, I'm a Leo rising, although I'm late degrees, so it's going to be falling in my 6th house. But for most of you who are Leo rising, it will probably fall in your 7th house, I think, because it does make a difference. So you could be either side of that. So when you listen to your horoscopes at your rising sign, which is what you should be doing, your rising sign is much better because it gives you all the houses and areas of life. You can listen to that sign either side as well to give you a fuller picture. If you're into Placidus, which is where we look at all of the degrees and not just sort of create equal parts. So where was I? I've distracted myself. So wherever you have the 0 degrees, there'll be a theme to unfold and it will be transformed. So my 5th house, for example, a house of self-expression, childhood, risk-taking, romance, children, having fun, sex, not in the same way the 8th house is about sex. So it's less intimate, joy, just 5th house is all about that. And amongst other things. And it's absolutely blown my 5th house open. It really has. So much has changed. I've had children in that time. So looking back from 2009, I met my husband in 2008. It all happened really quickly, which is lots of reasons for that to do with my chart, which you can I will share parts of my life as we go along in our journey together in the podcasts. But it's really interesting to look back, at what has changed. And I certainly don't feel like the same person I was when the transit of Pluto started in 2009. Please do share your experiences in the comments. I'd love to hear it, genuinely, because it helps me learn more as well about how things are in real life affect people with the astrological transit. So it's really fascinating, the things that can be transformed. So yeah, it's been a big journey. And what's interesting about it as well is that you have all these things happen, but there'll be like a longer backstory to it. Does that make sense? There'll be like all these different events, but underneath that there's this huge expansion that's taking place at the same time as everything sort of changing and dismantling, and it's not really till we've come to this point at the end where I can see what the bigger pattern of this has been. And my fifth house is ruled by Sagittarius, but it's also Capricorn, because I do Placidus. And I do feel that it's been about taking responsibility as well. It's not just been about having fun in the fifth house and self-expression, but it's been about taking up accountability for my own authenticity, which I think is really interesting, because I think that also ties into where we are on a macro level as well. Because Capricorn can, in its lower frequencies within the societal structures, it has made us feel quite, one could say, a bit trapped, I guess. That seems to be the theme that we're all talking about. This need to break free from the rules that are just so unfair or just don't really match how we see ourselves. Especially for people like, who are interested in things that are not mainstream, or not to say there isn't anything great about mainstream things, because we can all be light workers doing mainstream things. It's the attitude, isn't it? But like, if you're interested in things that the government or society doesn't recognise as something to be paid for, it can be really painful to know what to do with your life. And this transformation of breaking down those sort of old-fashioned ways of thinking that are really limited, very limited, it just doesn't allow for any future thinking. It doesn't allow for thinking on a galactic level, which is what Aquarius does. It doesn't allow for, more and more people are getting into astrology now than ever. And I believe it's because we are moving into the Aquarius age, and Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius is all part of that. Anyway, I diverse away from the diary I'm reading here. So you've had a taste of the 0 degrees, and what I was going to say is, did you begin something new during that time? Try to look back. I'll give you the dates, and then you can do some reflection on what happened. Journaling or diarying your astrological transits are actually, it's really quite comforting experience. So I would recommend it. And what I'm reading to you now is part of that diary that I've been keeping. So, have you seen a glimpse of what's to come? At each degree point. That is and each degree point, excuse me, that is repeated, because they do repeat when you go through back and forth through retrogrades. When they're repeated, you'll pick up from where you left off the last degree. So, for example, when we revisit these points again during the retrograde, as I'm saying, each time we inch a bit closer to something else and we build upon it. And we take something apart to rebuild it again and integrate more layers. And perhaps the first degree was a test point of new ideas, maybe. It was for me. I think I started coming up with ideas for other ways of self-expression, the fifth house. It's all been about that, really. I would say the fundamental theme for me, certainly in the fifth, has been that. Perhaps I'll do another one for all the houses for you. Perhaps I can do that. However, we did revisit 29 degrees of the previous sign, and we, as I say, we reworked and recapped places that we needed to let go, because we can't really bring in the new energy until we've let go of the old to move ahead. So all the other planets are involved in all of this, and finally they they fine-tune and tweak areas in our lives, like an orchestra. They all work together to create a new version of ourselves. So it's not just Pluto working on its own. I'm focusing on Pluto, of course, but Pluto's been working with all the other planets, and it's just like this amazing timed thing that is just all comes together when it's meant to. And that brings me quite a lot of comfort, I must say. To create balance, we can look at the opposite sign of where our Pluto is as well. And in fact, with anything that's going on in your chart, you can look at the opposite sign and see what you can bring in from there into your intentions. We can use our free will and lean into energy, and it does work. So on that note, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to give you some dates first before I do. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm really enjoying doing this. I've not been doing it for very long. I have been a student and a student of astrology for 3 or 4 years, and I've been a practicing astrologer for a couple of years now. And I'm really, really enjoying building up the level of experience. And I'm in awe of astrologers that have been doing it for 20, 30 years. And I'm really enjoying listening to all their podcasts. I enjoy doing the readings with people. It's a real pleasure. And that's what I just wanted to say. Just thank you so much for tuning in. And I will also give you the dates now then. The paintings, by the way, that you've been able to see throughout this podcast, if you've been looking at the screen, you might not have been, you might have had earphones in or maybe driving along listening to it, but there are my paintings that I paint energy paintings. So that's one of the things that I've been bringing out is my I sort of paint people's birth charts. I paint planets, all energetic things, and I kind of download it from somewhere in the galaxy. That's all I can say. It's really strange. It's colours from the galaxy, and I use the chakra system as a way of tuning in, and it's just an intuitive process. So the painting that you can see is a painting of the energy of Pluto, but it's not just Pluto, it's actually the energy of the moment you go from 29 degrees just before it to 0 degrees. So you could argue that it's 0 degrees 59 minutes. So I'll leave that with you, but have a look at the painting, and I hope that gives you some inspiration when you're looking at it, because that's what they're there for. So the dates. So you might be interested to know that Pluto went exact on the 29th, went exact on the 11th of February. It went exact 29 degrees on the 11th of February 2023 for the first time since 1777, okay? And then the next date to look at would be the 23rd of March 2023. Pluto went exact 0 degrees into Aquarius, and that was the first time that happened since 1778. So they're like big punchy dates to put in the journal and look back on. And still in 2023 now, it went into retrograde on the 1st of May. It went exact again at the 0 degree point. And when I say 0 degree, I mean exactly naught, you know, Aquarius. And this was the second sweep of that. So each time more will have been coming in. And that was in June, it was exact. And then it continued to retrograde and went exact again on the 29th degree back into Capricorn. So the second sweep of the 29th degree of Capricorn. Then on the 11th of October 2023, it went direct, having reached 27.53 minutes degrees of Capricorn. 20th of December 2023, it had its final sweep of 29 degrees in Capricorn. So the next time 29th degree of Capricorn will occur with Pluto being in it, always talking about Pluto at the moment, the next time that will happen won't be till 2269. So it's not going to be for another 246 odd years until that happens. So that's it. We're done now with the 29 degrees of Capricorn in its exact. We're done with it. And January the 21st, 2024, which is where we are now, that's the time of this recording. On the 21st of January, it's going to reach an exact of 0 degrees again, the third time round in Aquarius. And then it's going to retrograde back this year in May the 2nd. It will have gotten to 2 degrees and 6 minutes in Aquarius. So we're going to get all the way to 2 degrees this year by May. And during that retrograde, it's going to retrograde back on the 1st of September. It'll go exact again on 0 degrees Aquarius. The fourth sweep, okay? The fourth visit to that 0 degrees. So we're really bringing in new energy now. We're initiating new things. It's got a surge to it. It's got a strength to it. And then on the 12th of October, 2024, this year again, it goes direct and it will continue its journey. It will have gone to 29 degrees and 38 minutes. So that really is the last sort of clearing out energy. So we're bringing things in and then we're clearing out just a little bit more as we're bringing things in, just like the waves going in and out. That's what's happening with this energy of the 29 and the 0 degrees. And then on the 19th of November this year, 2024, it stays in Aquarius. 0 degrees, obviously it doesn't stay in 0 degrees, but it stays in Aquarius then. And the next time it will move out of Aquarius to the next sign of Pisces will be in 20 years. 20 years. And then that's amazing. So 2043 or 2044, it will go into Pisces, which will be amazing because, I mean, wow. Once it's finished its journey through Pisces, it really has done, hasn't it? Like a complete cycle of the zodiac. So it's amazing, really, that we're here, isn't it, at this time? And then that's it, really. So that's your dates. And then it will just continue being direct until May 2025. So that's all of the dates for you. You can always go back and listen to them again. And again, thank you so much. Have a good January and may you all be blessed. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks for visiting my channel. Bye for now.